Ramesh Ranjan, Government Advisory at KPMG. So kindly take over the panel. Thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I welcome you all on behalf of Governance Now. Over to you, Mr. Ranjan.
Thank you, Pragya, and thank you, Vinay, for that insightful presentation. Hope I am pretty audible to everyone and also visible.
Yes.
Okay. So, dear sirs, I welcome you all again, once again. Since Pragya has already introduced you in terms of the kind of profiles that you carry, to my audience, I would like to reiterate that very senior people are sitting here in terms of the knowledge and the experience that they are carrying together in this panel. So this panel basically focuses in terms of digital transformation in the power and energy sector. And I remember some of the panelists were there present in the last forum also. We did a very detailed discussion in terms of the kind of innovations and the progresses which were being made in the power and energy sector regarding the IT and related work that they were doing. So traditionally, as we all know, the power and energy sector has been dominated by the PSU entities. Of late, in the last decade or so, private parties have also started coming in. And while they have come in, they have greatly benefited from all the experience that the PSUs had gathered over the years. And then they have been able to, kind of at places match their efficiency and operational capacity. But still, even today, at some of the places, we see some of the problems are still bothering the sector in terms of the T&D losses that we want to reduce up to the level. We have not been able to do that, but of course there is always help available. The reliability factor, we are trying to increase that a lot. When the question of energy efficiency comes in, again, where do we go to solve this issue? The bigger issue that is now coming up is in the form of environmental impact that the power projects are generating, and there's a lot of discussion globally on that. As when I was discussing this security threat due to the two things. One is the centralized nature of the power generation itself, and then the IT systems which are deployed also mainly are central in nature, and then the distribution is there according to your need. Now, what has happened? There is a great interdependency also of the grids. Different power generating units, they want to connect, they want to wheel power from one region to another, and then another efficiencies would be required. While IT has come in over the years, what it has done, it has greatly helped you all in terms of energy management. The distribution, the utilities would agree that the distribution automation has greatly improved. The planning point in terms of accounting, the billing, metering, etc. New systems, as you know, the renewable energy, while it is being pushed to the level of customers themselves, while they are being allowed to generate and feed it back into the grid. So if the IT was not there, it would have been really tough. And then internally also for you as an organization to have a control on your manpower, the quality of manpower that you deploy, the management of the manpower, etc. Also, at some point of time, will bring in the kind of innovations that these organizations have done in their respective fields. So what I am trying to, structure this discussion into is into three parts, mainly four parts, including the question and answer session. One is, I would like everybody to, come out with the kind of major challenges that they have faced in terms of implementing IT and what have been their experiences, maybe with some specific examples they could bring that out. I would request everybody to limit it to maybe 2 to 3 minutes because we have 6 panelists, so everybody should speak about that. Then having talked about the challenges in the first part, I would then request everybody to, tell us what they are adopting as the next wave of change, because everybody knows how IT is changing, IoT is coming in, a lot of analytics is coming in. You as utilities have a lot of data. What are you doing with that? Also, if there is any insight in terms of how you're coping with the challenge of renewable energy, which almost accounts now about 23% of the installed capacities, all of what kind of adjustments are you making into your system? Again, about 2.5 to 3 minutes that I would like all of you to speak. Then there are the innovations and integrations internally. You would all be knowing, a power generation unit versus a power distribution unit. What kind of integrations are you doing using technology, particularly? What sort of help IT is doing you in terms of generation portfolio optimization, the smart grid adoption, or the customer engagement that I mentioned in terms of metering and billing? So again, there are 2.5, 3 minutes that I would like to do. And one specific point, I see all of the panelists here belong to the central PSUs. If somebody could also bring out what is the perspective of the state PSUs, there are many state PSUs also in the power and energy sector, that would be very, very useful. So in terms of order, just for the sake of order, I would first invite Shri PV Nath. He is the Executive Director, ERP and IT of Power Grid Corporation India Limited. Over to you, Nath sir.
We are not able to hear you. Sorry.
So your voice is not there. If,
I think Rajesh is probably not got your question.
Sir, Nath sir, can you hear me? So your voice is not coming. Maybe just
it is mute possibly.
Sir, can you unmute yourself? I think you are on a mute. Nath sir, you are on a mute, sir.
Can the moderator not unmute him?
Self-muted, can't we do that?
don't see an option actually.
I'm just sending unmute request to sir. Sir, I've sent you unmute request. If you can just accept it.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes, sir,
sorry.
we can hear.
Oh, okay. Sorry for the glitch. Okay.
Please.
Okay, Mr. Ranjan. No, you touched upon so many points. Actually, this higher AT&C losses, then reliability, then renewable integration. And ultimately, I say now that will be leading to a development of smart grid. So actually, this is Power Grid is also doing some pilot projects, and we have been this. With some IIT, Kanpur, and other organizations also we are in that discussions. And this is a it will take time to come to some logical conclusions and other things. Then actually, basically, what I'm this we have been. Right now, we are facing challenges of our huge grid. Is there so many substations and transmission lines, and there are so many sort of data is also there. So we are actually more focusing on our operations and maintenance with using our IT applications tools. So we have been developing so many in-house applications like our transformer health index. Predicting, because we are having more than 1400 transformers and spanning across the entire country. So our business wants all these things to be properly that data, all these testing parameters and all these things across at various places. There on that is to be based on that some analytics has to be developed. So we have developed some applications, and with this we'll be able to predict the healthiness of the transformers, and even in case of transmission lines also we are some patrolling. We are using some IT tools, particularly so many lines. During the patrolling and we are getting a lot of data. So we integrated all those data into our ERP systems, and and we are presenting a lot of reports and analyzing. So we are doing all these. These are a lot of challenges we are facing because earlier our data is in a very fractured manner. So now with all these ERP solutions and integrating with these various solutions, it is a very big challenge for us. So that those are the things we are more focusing. And during this even recent COVID lockdown also, there are some immediate requirement of people we have to enable entire business to be performed from work from home. Those are also a lot of challenges we faced. For that also, most of the conventional processes we have to automated the workflows and enablement of so many IT security systems. Those are all the big challenges we faced, and we could successfully carry out our business during this lockdown period also. And our whatever this I think in between this because of this April 5th that there was a call from Prime Minister to switch off the lights and other thing. That was a very challenging event. So we had to enter right from it is not only power grid, so all the POSOCO, then again state utilities, all the it requires a lot of planning, coordination, interaction, all these to handle that situation. So all these we used so many everything is conducted through VCs only, various VC mechanisms and this thing. So ultimately we could handle that situation also very successfully.
So, sir, thank you for elaborating about your challenges and learnings that you have had. You also told about some of the collaboration. We'll come back to that, sir. So right now, I think we'll move on to the next panelist, Sri Lakshmanan Raju, sir. He's the Executive Director, REC. So, sir, if you could throw some light in terms of what have been your challenges, some examples, what are the experiences in terms of digital transformation in your organizations?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, I would mostly focus on like my experiences from REC PDCL. It's a subsidiary which I'm heading as a Chief Executive Officer. And prior to this, like last 4.5, 5 years before this assignment, I was working as Managing Director of distribution companies in the state. So would like to bring that perspective as well, like in the discussion. So as REC PDCL, we do work with all the utilities, the state PSUs basically, the Transcos, Gencos, and Discoms especially. So from that perspective, like in terms of this digital transformation, what are the key challenges that one faces? First and foremost is like, the change management perspective. Like when we are adopting a new IT system or a new technology, especially at the fundamental level, there is a business process change and there is a change management. So in that perspective, like, the fundamental thing challenge one faces is like, how do you, sell this idea across the organization in terms of employees and various stakeholders. And second is like in terms of the IT setup that is available within the organization and what is the skill set that is available within the organization. In terms of having a core IT team which can handle this transformation at the fundamental level. Then in terms of users, how equipped are they to utilize the particular new technology? How are they able to adapt the reskilling that is required? especially like when you talk about distribution companies at the state level, they have varied levels of competency and skill levels, and it varies from state to state. So it is very essential, like if you have to move to a digital platform, digital system at any level, what we are speaking, it needs a lot of reskilling and adaptation from the employees across the organization. And second, putting together a core IT team and the IT hierarchy is also essential, because most of these utilities don't have a dedicated IT setup. And third thing is like to adopt the right technology, because there could be a lot of technology and a lot of new IT systems which are available in the market. So what is relevant to you? What gives you a right cost benefit analysis in terms of selecting the right solution, right product, and then doing it. And another key thing which we have noticed is like when we are designing a system or when we are moving to a new system, the initial your system requirement study which is done at that point, like normally the users of various departments don't actively participate, so the requirement is not properly articulated. Then a system is developed and deployed, then later users come back and say like, this is not working, this is not what we expected. So that actually like takes away a lot of your whatever are the benefits that you envisage from a system. It doesn't materialize because your system design and planning at that point you did not spend adequate time in developing that. And in the current times, mostly like PSUs and state utilities, they don't pay adequate attention to the security, aspects of the entire system. So we've had recent cases of, cyber attack in Jammu and Kashmir, where their entire data center went down for a month or so. Then it critically disrupts your entire business operations. So adequate attention needs to be paid from cyber security and your data security, how it is done. So all these aspects, like, there are various examples and experiences from various organizations. One example from our own present REC as an organization, like we have adopted a ERP, but then like for a particular function, especially the core business is financing. So the ERP which has been adopted does not, it's a generic ERP. So especially the loan and the treasury function is not that efficiently like functioning that particular ERP. Probably a better solution could have been to adopt a banking or a finance industry based core solution for loan and financing, and maybe ERP could have been adopted for the generic functions like your accounting, finance, HR, and other aspects, and it could have been integrated. So it's very important that you select the right product and spend adequate time in terms of articulating your requirement design, so that like at a later stage, you are comfortable and you actually derive the benefits out of the specific system that you deploy. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. This was very well elaborated. I think this comes from someone who has practiced it at the ground level. You have implemented a lot of systems. That's where the wisdom is coming from. So very, very useful, sir. We'll come back to it in terms of, when we are taking questions, and would want some more insights from you in that case.
Sure, thank you.
Sure. So we'll now move on to Sri P.S. Sundaram, sir. He's the Chief General Manager IT and the CIO for Power Finance Corporation. Sir, if you could please throw some light in terms of challenges and experiences that you have had in implementing and the digital transformation in your organization.
Thank you, Rajesh. Greetings of the day to all. It is great to be here, and I would like to take up the first part of this entire panel discussion, that challenges what we are facing as a power sector. I would like to divide this into two. One is what PFC is facing, how we are trying to address that. And second one is, we being the nodal agency for the IPDS program, I can throw some information on challenges faced by the state power utilities. To start with PFC, the immediate challenge what we are facing is, we are carrying a vintage system just running for the last 20 years. That is actually catering to the core business. You can understand that last 20 years some system is running, the efficiency and all has gone down. Another important challenge is that we are running on a heterogeneous system. There are multiple technology we are using, and we are unable to establish a single point of truth. That is, same information is available at multiple systems, multiple databases. And most of the time our users are trying to reconcile, wasting time and energy on that. And addressing this problem, what we did is we thought of going for complete IT transformation. For that, the first step what we did is we appointed a best of the class consultant who made the IT roadmap for us. And the IT roadmap has been divided into multiple actionable items, and we are taking up one by one. And in the entire journey, to ensure whatever problems my fellow panelists are also facing, like individual participation and their knowledge in the involvement level and all those things, how we try to address is we are appointing a PMC all over the entire transformation, and we are appointing SIs specific to that particular thing. And then we are appointing a third-party auditor also, who will be starting the journey from the beginning of the implementation. Until end, the TPA also will be there, who will be finally certifying the entire implementation. And in the entire process, how we are stitching it together is that the PMC will be carrying it out, and he will be vetting each and every process, and the SI will be taking care of the implementation. TPA will be vetting. That is how we have planned it, and we are midway, and we are going ahead. And probably I'll be taking the help of Vinay. Maybe sometime we can have a chat on discussing on the security part also. So that is how we planned it. Already we have considered VMware. A considerable stack we have already considered in our implementation in the transformation journey. So that is how we are trying to address the challenges of PFC. Now, going back to the state power utility. I mean, initially when the state the electricity boards were there. Subsequently, they were unbundled into utilities. They made cost centers or profit centers, I would say. PFC has been identified as nodal agency for implementing APDRP, which was the first phase of the reform program. And then subsequently, now the second phase is IPDS, which is also now going to be over in a year or two. And the third phase, it is already named Aditya. Probably that is the final name or not, I'm not very sure. Maybe there may be a name change for this phase 3. So that is what is the program which is conducted by PFC for modernizing all the power utilities. That is computerization and having all the data generated, and data has to be pulled to a central portal. In this end, the APDRP subsequent to IPDS, in this entire journey, PFC has been making the DPRs, and we are trying to implement computerized systems in all the power utilities. And there was a major, to the major extent, there was success. But the challenges are like, just when we are making state-wise DPRs and power utilities are going with a different tender process, they're adopting systems with a different technology. And again, they are amazing so much of data, which is not yet centrally connected. The central government, I mean, probably we hear, most of the panelists are from the central PSUs. We can understand the pain that the respective discipline data is not actually arriving to a central place, and we are unable to collect the data for a useful information. That is the biggest challenge right now we are facing, because every power utility, they're all working on a different technology, different IT systems, and mainly the IT power utilities, they are having a greater dependency on the operational technology, OT part. Whatever OT is already implemented, the IT has to have some dependency on that. Accordingly, they are deciding the technology and all those things. To stay, and another important point here is that after computerization, some of the power utilities and some of the states, they are doing wonderful. I can name few like Gujarat, AP, and all, they are doing very good. But then majority of the states, even after computerization, big money has been pumped in, but then still we are unable to achieve 100% utilization of the IT system or any relevant usefulness out of the IT system. These are all the changes. Maybe in the subsequent pieces, these will be pressed out, and probably we are looking forward to have a good systems in the power utilities, so that most of the problems can be addressed. Rajesh.
Thank you, sir, for another enlightening session. You very rightly pointed out this problem of single source of truth not being available, and also the data related and disparate IT systems which are present there. So we'll again visit in terms of what are some of the discussions that we could have around that. We will now move on to the next panelist, Mr. Shailesh S. He's the General Manager IT for NTPC Limited. Over to you, Mr. Shailesh, please.
Yeah, greetings and thank you, Rajesh. Some of the challenges that we had in NTPC are similar to what the other companies faced. But I wouldn't say we did not have too many challenges in the past few years because the digital transformation in our company has gone on for quite some time now. I hope I'm audible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So the transformation in our company started off about 15 years back through a process where we implemented ERP in the company. And so the transformation is going on. I would say it's a journey which will go on for a long time, I guess. So that is something there. So that way, the challenges weren't too many in the past, recent past. The few things that we've faced is in terms of solutions available, tailoring or suiting the power sector, or specifically the power generation sector. Most of the companies, when they offer solutions, those solutions might suit the banking, the financial industry, or the retail, the marketing setup and all. But the power sector in general and power generation sector in particular don't have good solutions which the IT companies can offer. So that is, of course, it is improving over a period of time now, but that is still a little bit of a challenge that we face. So whenever a company comes to us for a solution, and if we say, okay, which power generation company is using this, then they are at a loss, or they take names of the US based or European based companies. So the kind of a business use case or the case where we have a proven technology in the power generation sector, that is something that is a challenge that we have faced. So we have had to use the technology probably as a pioneer in India in terms of usage in the power generation sector. That is one thing. The other is, as a PSU, some of the things that we're having as a challenge is adopting new technologies from a procurement standpoint. So the new technologies, as the word says, they are new. So there is no precedent to using it anywhere. So we might not have enough players of the technology. So things, we are dependent on some of the startup companies to implement those technologies. So in that sense, we have to follow certain government procurement processes. So as opposed to the private sector, we can't simply go to a particular company and say, okay, hey, your technology seems to be good, let's implement that. So their evaluation of technologies and giving kind of an even place for all the companies becomes a bit of a challenge, and that is where a lot of our effort goes into in terms of picking the right technology. As Sudram sir said, picking the right technology and in the right place is a challenge. We are kind of overcoming that, tweaking our procurement processes or the way we handle things using startups and things like that. But that is there. And another challenge which we faced was a kind of a change management when we dealt with the subject of IT and OT integration. So we've done it about 10 years back, but that is an area where the OT systems, as the panelists would know, they haven't kept pace with the technology change as the IT systems have. So the integration between IT and OT systems, which is a necessity today, which was not there maybe 10, 20 years back. So that integration was a challenge. We have kind of overcome that. but we are now moving towards the industry 4.0. So there, the incorporation of new technologies in the OT space is becoming a bit of a challenge in terms of getting good technology and quickly. So these are the things that I thought I will share. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think very well put. One of the main points that I found was you're right, is in terms of the tailor-made solution that a power generation company might be looking for, is still not there, especially from the Indian perspective that you mentioned. The next panelist in our case, he comes from a coal company. His challenges might be a little bit different from what the generation or the distribution companies might be facing. So I would like to maybe customize his experience, challenges as per his specific case. Over to you, sir. Aloknath Sarkar, he is the general manager in the Western Coalfields Limited. Sir, please.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Actually, really, it is. I'm odd man out over here, but I'm proud that yes, we give the right fuel to you, so that the power gencos, they come out with their energy, they generate the power. Now, thing is that I belong to WCL. That is one of the subsidiary of Coal India Limited, and Coal India Limited is a big thing. Actually, big organization. You might be knowing that this is the biggest coal producer in the world, and it is having just you think about the manpower. Manpower is as of now it is more than 2,70,000. Previously, it was the manpower was very high. Now it is more than 2,70,000, and not only that, there are eight producing subsidiaries are there, and also there are one your research institute called CMPDI. So now the challenges, since the size, our operation is across 9 states. Just imagine. And also, in my company, I do not find any state that is not, not presented. There are so many disciplines are there, and people from every walk of life, they are, here in the mining industry itself. So mining industry and coal specifically, coal, it is the raw fuel for the, thermal power generation, and we are supplying the most of the fuel to all the your supply, all the power. Now, problem is that in our system, rightly we are having, most of the subsidies are having this 3-tier, your browser-based system is available. But prior to that, we had your file server system, and it was very tough to, all kinds of data, accumulate the data, and the thing was, this single source of truth, this was the need. And the management thought it right that probably we are the only Maharatna company that is not implemented earlier this your ERP. Now we are going, since we are going late, so we are going very big way. Along with the 7 core modules, we are also integrating our hospital management system. Just this present COVID situation, it is we felt it, yes, we have taken the right decision. Our management has taken the right decision to implement hospital management system also along with these 4 modules. Now this say 8-9 subsidiaries. So 9 subsidiaries in a single go, it is not possible. So we are going in a phase manner. The first phase, it will be 3 subsidiaries, and then other 6 subsidiaries along with one your research institute, they will be on board after 6 months. So our challenges started, actually the challenges that nobody could feel earlier, because that time this challenge was not there. Now the new challenge has come, and it is faced by the world, and we are yet to find a solution for this. This is the COVID-19 situation, this pandemic has made us do something. Some new inventions has to be there, and we have come out with the new inventions also. Since because of this thing, and also since I told you that we are going a big way, we are going to have the largest presence in as corporate in cloud. So we have decided to go, everything should be in our cloud, private cloud only. So it is in the process, and we are expecting that the go live will be within 2 months. 2 months, by 2 months, within 2 months we'll be reaching our go live in the first phase. Now this, because of the COVID-19, we have come out with the peculiarities that this OCM that people are, mentioning, and it is the need. Whenever there is a big change in the technological sector or any other sector, this change is to be supplemented by the real knowledge transfer to all the people, all the rank of the people, and all throughout the company, and also other stakeholders also. So that is why this organization change management is required. We tell the people, but there is a challenge that how we can reach to the people in such a period, because it is a scheduled your program, and we cannot miss any schedule. Any program is missed, then we'll be heading towards use what is called delay in the project implementation. So what we did, this is the thing that we are now sitting with this thing, this WebEx, this webinar. We also use this webinar. You just will be, I'm really glad to tell you that within 2 sessions, I could reach all the area general managers, your all the HODs, and all the managers, and their other HODs of the mines. Just you imagine, there are mines, in our company, in WCL itself, there are 684 mines. So, and there are 10 areas. Now see differently, for all the your subsidiaries together, it will be more than 352 mines. So just see, to reach so many people at a very short time, it is done through this webinar. So I address them and address them this to teach them that why this is required, and how what is the role in between. This is the roles and authorizations. It is also a very big challenge here. And see, in everywhere, since it is a big, big volume wise, big transaction wise, big, your in terms of processes, it is big. So it is taking time, and the challenges also big. So these challenges we are addressing through OCM. And I must say that the things that we'll be seeing within 2 months, and it will be thing to be viewed by others also. In this during this journey, we have this challenges in terms of your integrating of other applications. Like we are using your all the MMA procurement is done through GEM portal, or through Coal India NIC portal. So this is a challenge that we have to integrate with our SAP system. You are implementing SAP. Now this is a one challenge, and we are in touch with the GEM portal authorities and NIC authorities. And secondly, we are also in touch with the FOIS, relay system, CRIS, so that the FOIS data that is generated, we want that the data, whatever data is generated at the generating point, if that cannot be automated, we must try our best to get it automated, so that the human intervention is as less as possible. And by doing this, we are trying our best. See, from your web bridges, the data that is generated at the web bridges, we will be directly fetching the data to our SAP system. So there will be least human intervention, and this will give us the right approach to our system, and this will make us this system will be customized in such a way that yes, we can be proud that yes, our system is not only transparent, but it is efficient also. And see, there are other agencies like your SIMFAR QCI, that is your third-party quality controlling, quality your organization, quality checking organization. We have your MOU with this SIMFAR, we and the customer together, so that there is no controversy regarding our quality of product. That is a coal. There are so many grades of coal. So as per the grades of coal, the pricing is done. And as per the GCV value, we call gross calorific value, on the basis of this it is done. So that for the customer satisfaction, we are in we have MOU with this SIMFAR or QCI. They independently do their they check the quality, and it is accepted by seller and buyer. So this is, so we want their data to be implemented with us. So that is one issue. And another is that your I think post this thing, regarding this thing, to make the people ready for this thing, See, our if our database data center is ready, data is ready, now our program is ready, that is all the system is supposed ready. Now the people is to be made ready, and people see average education. If you go and see this, I mean 2,72,000, 70,000, more than 70,000 these people, the average employee, your education level is not high. Most of the minor, they either they have school level education only, but that does not matter. I mean, not everybody is going to use the system, but most of the people will be having at least, see, 3,000 for our cases. I mean, 8,000 users, 8,000 power users. You can just imagine, I mean, the size of the our system, Coal India as a whole. But we will be reaching to them. I mean, more of the people will be given the access, so that our system is not, I mean, few man centric. So, and this is a challenge, and we are, I mean, tackling it very intelligently. And this during OCM, one point I say that yes, I have heard from, I mean, many public sectors that what they have, I mean, how they could manage, I mean, how they are managing, and whether it is good for them or not. So yes, some places I have come to know that yes, it is not only in terms of profit, in terms of proficiency, or in terms of productivity enhancement. It is I mean, it is a very important thing that it has, this ERP system has brought happiness to them. Even that the IR issues, I had visited one company, and your personnel executive, the general manager personnel, he was on the opinion that yes, we are we are proud that yes, we have used this the system, and now we are a happy person. And not only myself, all the stakeholders are happy, and all the employees are happy, because all the rules and policies, everything is built in our system, so nobody can raise any question, and it is done thoroughly as per the system. So this thing is a thing of past. Now another thing, your materials management, and other thing, it is a common I mean, knowledge that yes, we will be gaining lot of thing, and our performance level will be improved, and all these things. But I have found one thing, and I am spreading the message to everybody, that see, data will be accepted from the root level, the end user level, and these data, same data, will be followed upward. See, in the mine level, then it will be available in the area level, and it will be the same level will be available in the headquarter level, the director level, and in Coal India level, and the same level, the same data will be available in the mine level. See, most of the time we are wasting in the sense that we are some ministry wants some information, it is passed through Coal India to headquarter to area, and
maybe
so, but
maybe
now,
just to summarize.
yes. So this way, just 1 second. So this way, what we are doing, that this wastage of time will be converted into investment of time, that since the data will be available to all the levels, so they will not ask any question, they will just give the suggestion that you go for this thing, go for these things. And this way we'll be gaining in not only in terms of I mean, productivity, but also in terms of you are using my time for decision making also. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I can see the excitement and the involvement, because I think you are very deeply involved in the system that is being designed. Surely we can discuss, later also, because I see a lot of insights are available, and you very rightly pointed out that since you are late, you are using the latest technologies and the models. You are not bound by the legacy systems that other organizations may be having an issue with. Yes. So next we also have with us Santosh Kumar from VMware India. If you could maybe like to throw some light, because we have a lot of paucity of time for this one subsections. Also, since we are already running late, what I'll do, the next two subsections that I had asked for, maybe not necessary for everyone to speak. In that order, I'll just ask if somebody has a point to add, they could add, and then we could move on to the next panelist in that order. So Santosh, please elaborate something. We'll then move on to the next subsection. Santosh, over to you.
Right. So good afternoon, panelists. As I heard with Nath said, right? There were challenges on the many aspects, and one of the challenges was from the work from home side, right? And giving a secure access to users, right? The another challenge which was mentioned by Sundaram sir was he has a data center already which is due for refresh for long time, right? And he has already appointed the consultant, and he has given the roadmap for IT roadmap for PSC, right? And similarly, Sarkar sir also said that Coal India is going for implementing of ERP on a cloud model, right? So VMware has VMware. If you look at from VMware perspective, we have solution in all those challenging areas, right? And as this time, right, when business is not usual, right, we need to focus on helping each other and assisting our customers as they respond and adapt, right? We have capabilities to help customers across globe, enable their employees to work remotely. They can maintain their productivity, increase their connectivity, and provide continuous secure access to their application regardless of any endpoints, right? VMware is also helping customers respond and adapt to the workforce with capabilities to enable employees to work remotely, maintain their productivity, increase their connectivity, and provide continuous secure application regardless of the endpoints. If you look at from VMware solution perspective, we have digital workspace, which creates a remote work experience, experience that provide access to any application on any device without compromising on the security side, right? Additionally, VMware says also that VMware Cloud on AWS, SD-WAN by VeloCloud, Horizon, DR in the cloud are the solutions which customers should leverage when running a business remotely. So these are the thoughts which I thought let me share with the panelist team, sir. Over to you, Rajesh.
Okay, thank you so much, Santosh. I think very useful in terms of, because all the main IT guys from the PSU are sitting here, so they'll take note. So what I had discussed in the beginning was, once we have discussed about the challenges and the experiences, if there is any new thing that any of you is doing as the heads of IT of your respective organization and would like to share, how are you adopting to the next wave of change? Somebody already talked about the challenges in adopting the new technologies, the emerging technologies, and how to go about it. So if there is any experience relating to that, and also in the same vein I had mentioned, what is your take on the renewables? You as generators or distributors, how are you trying to accommodate? Because that pie is growing by the day as we are discussing. You all know how things are changing there. So if there is any experience, I would like to begin in the same order. If Nath sir could say something about it, we are open for that.
I'm just talking about the IT, not this renewables and other thing. So actually, right now we are in the phase of this stabilizing the ERP systems and whatever that data. So we are getting a lot of huge data. We are now getting that from that we are creating so many dashboards to the management so that they can visualize the various parameters and other thing. Next level, what we are planning is we want to go for some AI and ML applications. So that we are trying to identify in consultation with our business people. We are and we are taking some consultants also, and we are approaching some premier institutes, academic institutes, and we are going to identify some projects, and we are training about 50 people through some selection process, and we are going to give them some 1-year course, and during that course they come, they will know the techniques, and as well as they do some projects related to our power grid. So these are the things we want to just go to the next level, how it can be adopted, this AM and ML to our power grid business context. So that is our roadmap. So we are working towards that. And of course, we are now integrating with so many other external services also, like we already integrated with GEM portal. Then we are integrating with e-invoicing, government e-invoicing. Then again, of course, for our Bamandari, our tools and the thing, Bamandari ticket booking tools, all these things we are already in advance with this thing. But of course, next is our big target is AI and ML that we are taking. Okay, thank you.
Okay, sir. Great to hear that. So, sir, I would request Lakshmanan, sir, if you could throw some light in terms of how are you looking at the future and how are you preparing for that?
In this aspect, like I would like to, speak on a couple of things. One is, data center, which across utilities and organizations, typically like 5 year back, everyone set up their own data centers as a, they purchase the equipment, set it up. But then as you go along, you find, a couple of primary constraints. One is your ability to manage data center at a particular service level. You don't have the right level of competence to, maintain a particular level of availability. Second, the hardware goes, outdated and end of life, and you lose service. And then again, after 5 years or so, there is a requirement for replacing the entire data center. So in that aspect, I think now progressively utilities are looking at cloud as a solution and hardware as a service. So I think that is one key, migration which is happening. And right now, we have many good, cloud service providers, and gradually, some softwares also as a service, people are looking at it as a solution rather than, developing and owning the particular software, so that progressively, the software also gets upgraded and changed as per the changing industry needs. So that is one thing on the core IT side. And second thing which we were discussing was on the renewable side, how it is, coming in and what the impact it has. The associated area, critically, essentially is the demand forecasting for a utility at the distribution level. That essentially 85% of the cost expenditure for a distribution company is power purchase only. So forecasting of the demand and scheduling of supply is very essential if you have to optimally manage your cost and deliver uninterrupted service to your consumers without any regulation or shedding of power, because mismatch in demand supply leads to regulating power and shedding and all those issues. So in that, automation and upgrading to the next level of digitization is very important, as in your metering systems have to be automated, and they should have automated communication with your load dispatch center. And similarly, you are integrated with your generators at a basic level. So if it is upgraded to the next level of integration at SCADA level, all your grids are automated at SCADA level in terms of enabling remote operations, in terms of regulating your power supply sitting in the load dispatch center. So different utilities across the country are in different stages of evolution in this chain. And second thing is renewable is very fluctuating in its nature, because primarily solar and wind generation, they are not predictable as thermal or hydro generation is. So as more and more renewable is getting integrated into our grid, it becomes essential for us to develop forecasting models. For that, lot of the previous data, the weather data, and the historical patterns in terms of consumption. So all this has to be integrated, and then you have a comprehensive power management software or a platform which has linkages with your input data from the distribution and transmission side, then integrated with your generators and renewable players, weather systems, and other associated aspects. This kind of project we are doing for Haryana Discom, which over the last 2 years, they are able to get significant amount of benefits in terms of having a comprehensive system to forecast their demand, schedule their power, and then like bring in an element of flexibility because of the fluctuating nature of renewable power. So this going forward needs much more advancement, because the present level of operation which we have is like still very rudimentary. If you compare the systems which are in European countries like Germany, Switzerland, or Nordic countries, which are very, very advanced in terms of renewable power, and the kind of flexibility and kind of forecasting that they are able to do with the level of accuracy, I think we need to move forward on this, especially like with the Government of India target of close to 450 gigawatt of renewable power by 2030. I think a huge transition is needed in this segment. So these are the two things that I wanted to mention, Rajesh. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, sir. I think one thing that stood out is absolutely this thing about demand forecasting. One case we saw during the lights out appeal by the PM, and there was so much speculation about that also. So thank you, sir. So in that case, sir, I would also request Sundaram, sir, if you could add on this aspect from his side.
Thank you. In the lines of what Denmark, Japan, Germany and all they are doing on renewable energy, there's a big scope in India that we can actually leverage the renewable energy sources to meet the self-sufficient power generations in India. And being a finance company, for us, it doesn't make any difference that the more projects are coming for renewable energy financing. Yes, we are doing that. We are working on that. Like REC also is doing that. To add on to Raju sir, what he said is that the power utilities, state power utilities, they are trying to come on to cloud. Yes, that is happening. But here my suggestion, it's a new thought maybe. Just wanted to share that with my fellow panelists and to the audiences. Maybe we can set up a power cloud. Instead of the IPDS or the Aditya, we're going to spend money on various state power utilities, and somebody is trying to go for a on-prem solution, somebody is going for a cloud solution, somebody is taking SAP, somebody is taking something else, and then finally, people are working on different solutions and then different success stories, different failure stories. Instead of that, probably we can push for a power cloud, which the power ministry can consider, wherein in 2 different seismic zones, probably we can set up 2 cloud centers, and then that will act as a backup to each other. And we can host all the power utilities. And when the implementation is happening, the best of the practices can be recorded, and that can be utilized for other power utilities. Like Gujarat is doing a very good model of implementation. There are specific good practices, if it is implemented, can be adopted for other power utilities also. So that is one suggestion just to add on to what Raju sir said here. And the main thing is that just by doing this, what we can do is we can do a cost-effective solution to all the power utilities. Right now, majority of the power utilities, they are reeling under the financial issues right now. So that and all, recently, Central government is trying to attend that. Recently there was a package of 90,000 crore has been given to all the power utilities to address some of the operational issues. So here on operational side, on IT side, it can be cost effective, and it can actually lead to a meaningful implementation for power utilities. Thanks, Rajesh.
So that's a wonderful idea. I think everybody would agree, calls for more discussion in terms of taking it forward. And since the major heads are present here itself, I think everybody is hearing. Amongst yourselves, you could connect and take this forward very well. Similarly, sir, I would request if Shailesh sir has anything to add on to this, on this aspect of new technologies and the renewables from this side.
First, to address the technology, the technology challenges, how we faced up to it. Like the other panelists have said, we have done a lot of integration work with our backend SAP systems. We've integrated with the NIC procurement portal, with the GEM portal, with the ticketing system of Bamarlari, with the Ola taxi booking service. We are going to do for the Uber taxi booking also. We have done with Voice what the gentleman from Western Coalfield, Alok Nath sir said. So those we have done. We are actually working with Coal India to integrate their systems to NTPC systems to get some information with both companies. We have done a lot of these integration works so that the business within NTPC and with the partners is online and in near real time, so that we exchange information and that is mutually beneficial to both the companies. We've also integrated with Paytm to manage the payments and all. So that is one area where our integration helps in smooth flow of information. And with the COVID epidemic, that became very essential, where we had to facilitate online payment of payment relating to our vendors, suppliers. So the EMDs or the payments which are done. So now you will be happy to note that most of our vendor payments are online. So nobody needs to come to our office or send a check or a draft or anything. It's all online. That is one thing. And then all the invoices which were submitted in a paper form a few months back, most of them are being submitted in a digital form today through our vendor portal. So that is another thing that we have done. So this is again the pandemic phase forced us to do it quickly. We had anyway plans for it in the near future, but now we've already done it. So we are heading towards 100% paperless invoice receiving area. So we've already touched about 80-85% in the company. So all the vendors are supporting us in this endeavor. And we already implemented a paperless office solution within the company. So there is hardly any paper used in the company, I mean, except for situations where we have to give it to another external agency. Otherwise, within the company and most of our suppliers and vendors and customers, there is hardly any paper. Everything is online. And where most of us in the city-based offices are working from home. Power station, of course, people do travel to office because of the nature of their work. So the challenges have been addressed in that sense, where we have embraced technology, be it VPN, be it online systems, anywhere. So the integration and online systems and whichever applications we were hosting internally, we have brought it over the internet, of course, through proper security audit and all. So most of our work that way gets online. So if I may say so, we are able to work from anywhere within and outside the company. That is one thing. And to mention about the challenges with respect to renewables. So we are also into renewable generation, and we have a kind of an ambitious plan to have about 50% of our renewables by the year 2030-35. So the challenge there is on flexible operation to our thermal plants, because the renewables, as you know, would work during the day, and of course, unless we have a battery storage of equivalent capacity, so during the night the thermal sets would go up. So that challenge is being met through flexible operations of our thermal stations. So all our operation engineers are being trained for that. Our systems are undergoing modifications to suit flexible operations, because if an 800 megawatt unit would have to operate at 400 megawatt unit during the day. So there is going to be a sharp dip, and that dip also will have to be relatively faster in terms of rate. So those are the things which are there. And in the renewable space also, our fleet is increasing. So we have a real-time monitoring system that's operational in the company for the past 10-12 years. So that is being extended to the renewable energy assets also. So central monitoring center is being set up. Already work is going on in that area. So the central team will be able to in real time monitor what's happening in the solar asset. So which panel is generating, which panel is not, right up to the string level, things are going to be monitored so that we have an idea of what is happening in real time to the solar assets. And also, like what the other panelists mentioned about the importance of forecasting. So for us, we are already working on an in-house solution for day ahead forecasting and intraday forecasting. So 3 days or 4 days in ahead. So that solution is already in place. It is under testing now. So that is something that we are working on in terms of ability to forecast our solar generation ahead of time so that we can give proper information to the regulators and the RLDC. So these are things which are being done. A lot more needs to be done, but then we are, I think, on the right track, and probably we'll have to speed up our technology adoption going forward. So that is what I want to say. Thank you.
So thank you, sir. I think Alok sir has already spoken at length in terms of what he has done. And we are anyway running short on time because of this thing. In that case, maybe we'll
Rajesh,
Excuse me.
just
Sure.
just a point. The idea,
small.
the idea of
Sure, sure, sir.
the idea of Sundaram sir regarding Power Cloud is an exciting idea. So I will pass on this information to my colleagues and see if we can see how we can contribute to it. That's all.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. That's what I told. It's very
Yes, sir.
exciting.
Yes, sir. Considering that also, actually, I have a point to say here. That is your knowledge dissemination. Actually, government has started that, yes, knowledge to be disseminated across all the public sectors. So this is not actually happening, but this should happen. And we have started in our company in Coal India as a whole. We have come out with our young generation. They have come up with many mobile apps and portals are there. So on 6th June of this year, when during this COVID pandemic itself, Honorable Coal Minister, along with this thing, your remotely inaugurating of the mine. So 3 mines were inaugurated through online, and during that time, Honorable Minister launched 2 apps, your mobile apps. So actually, these apps now the chairman Coal India, he wants that the same kind of apps should be available for all the subsidiaries. So this knowledge dissemination we have started, that we have shared all the detail so that they do not use their time to even ponder on these things. So that is the thing, this knowledge dissemination, it is needed, and I think that this should be needed. I mean, this should be used for by all the subsidiaries also, I mean all the PSUs also. And this your e-office kind of thing, in e-office, we are in e-office, and we are here rightly we said, I mean NTPC. So the same thing, and we can share our we can stop our load, I mean workload on this thing, I mean by sending mail or other thing, we can switch over to e-office mode. I mean, this can be done. This is a very good idea. I mean, I also, I mean, agree to these things. Okay, thank you. Actually, yes, time is short. Yes, please.
So, in case Pragya, do you have time for a Q&A?
Not really. We can take these questions offline, and I will for sure share the questions and the feedback that we are receiving with all the panelists. Actually, the other panelists for the sessions are also waiting. So
before we conclude, just wanted to make one point from VMware side, just to share the experience what we had with other PSUs as well. Like Sundaram sir said, cloud for power, right? Or it is being asked by Lakshman sir also that there is a need for cloud or hardware as a service or a software as a service. Similar kind of activities is already being done by other PSUs, like Ministry of Railways. They have appointed Railtel to build a cloud for all the departments in railways, and they are rolling out somewhere around I think 1.5 lakh locations of e-office implementation through their cloud. And their entire cloud is built on VMware platform. So we have the technology available. If there is a thought process on those days, VMware can help you you on that part, sir. Over to you, Rajesh.
Oh, thank you. So just to conclude, just a few key takeaways I would like to share. What I've heard from all the panelists, the major thing that I was able to see is the change management portion. Everybody mentioned that was a common thread. The ability and the willingness of the employees to adopt change that is coming in terms of technology. Again, in terms of another key point, that was whether disciplined data is available or not. That is a very big challenge across organizations that I was able to hear. And also in terms of the technology, what sort of technologies to be selected, that is another challenge everybody is facing. But at the same time, I have seen the kind of innovations that everybody has suggested, and one major point coming out, this Our Cloud idea is well appreciated by everyone, as well as point from Lakshmanan sir in terms of whether they want to have a data center at all and whether they have the ability to maintain their SLAs in the data center. So overall, I think there is a progressive train of thought that is clearly visible, and we may definitely like to connect offline also, just to make flash out a few more points which we were not able to discuss due to paucity of time. So I once again thank everyone for being part of this, very thoughtful, very insightful. Exciting to be a part of this panel, sir. Thank you all. We'll see you again.
Thank you so much, Rajesh.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Rajesh. Thank you, Sarkar ji. Thank you, Sundaram ji. Thank you, Lakshman and Raju ji. Thank you, Shailesh ji. So thank you, Santosh ji. And thank you, PV Nath ji. Thank you so much for joining this panel. It's been a great pleasure hosting you all. Thank you so much.